Welcome, welcome, business owning moms, to my coveted maternity leave planning roadmap. I'm your host, Alyson Caffrey, and I'm going to talk about something a little bit less tactical today, which, gasp, is still very important. And it's about the identity shift that happens when you become a mom and you are a business owner. Now, if this is your first rodeo, this is going to be something new for you. But if this is your second, third, fourth time becoming a mom and you have a business, or maybe you worked in corporate for your first leave and now you are in a business owner seat for your second, which is amazing, by the way. This is a transition that is honestly a little scary in the beginning. I know that when I got pregnant with our first son, I couldn't imagine myself as a mother. It was like I just honestly didn't know what I didn't know. I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know what it would even be like to lay eyes on a baby that had come out of me and that my husband and I had made. And, there was so much of that early postpartum period that I personally spent like trying to grasp onto the identity of me, I guess, pre mom, right? The thing that I had built, with my business or, as a professional in the marketplace, as a person. So like as a daughter, as a spouse, as a, sister. And there was so much there that I wanted to honestly scream sometimes. I was just like, how am I expected to be all the things that I was and also be this mom? And so there were so many transitions and changes personally for me that were pretty scary. I was like, I'm going to need to let go of some stuff, right? Some stuff is going to just have to be deprioritized for the season. There are going to be things that I used to do or stuff that I used to enjoy that frankly felt a little bit more like a chore. I'm not super proud to admit this, but when I was postpartum with my son, Frank, I found it really difficult to like move my body. And it was pretty confronting because I've always had a lot of energy. So I've always been the type of person that like needs to go and burn off some energy. So I would go for a run or I would go and do like a hit workout or hit a yoga class or something like that. And it's always been part of my identity. And I remember, early postpartum with Frank, I had a really tough time separating from him. There was this like fear that, he would be hungry and I wouldn't be there, or that he would be needing something that Steve couldn't provide, which is like so crazy to even say out loud because my husband is amazing. And of course, I trusted and knew that he was going to be able to figure it out. But there was like that almost irrational like hormone cocktail that was going on in my brain where I couldn't really think about a moment that he wouldn't need me or that I wouldn't need to be mom first. And the thing that I want to encourage all of you with today is that if you have a business, which if you're listening, it's most likely that you do. If you have a business that needs a lot of you and it's tied up around a lot of your identity, so you probably launched this thing because you're super passionate about something. You probably launched this thing because you're super good at it. You probably launched this thing because you love to help people get a certain result or have a product in their home that they can feel and that makes their life a little bit better. And the thing I want to say is it doesn't mean that you're less of that person if you don't have the ability or the bandwidth or the desire to prioritize that in this season. You can still be an incredible business owner and it not be your priority right now. And I know that that sounds like it's fundamentally at odds with one another, but two things are very, very true when it comes to the postpartum period for business owners. Number one is that you actually are not the same person that you were before you had your baby. And I think there is so much research and things to back this. I think I've even had a couple of conversations like this on the podcast with guests that we've had. But your body, your hormones, your everything are just different. They're just different. Some things are better, some things might seem worse, or whatever that looks like for you. And it's really tough to grapple with because in the very beginning, you're thinking to yourself, well, how can I still be this business owner if I feel so scattered? This happened to me when we went to our first doctor's appointment. It took us like 25 minutes to get in the car, and then we missed the freaking appointment. And like as a like operations person and very type A and very, very organized, I was like, how am I supposed to be a consultant, a coach, a strategist for operations and how things work if I can't even show up to a doctor's appointment on time? Yeah. So that was super confronting. And I remember just letting these little shifts bleed into like my entire identity. And instead of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, proverbially speaking, I could have taken that moment as being like, "Oh, I'm just adjusting to this new role as mom," right? It's as if you've gotten a brand new role just like tacked on to your existing job description. Like you're not meant to knock it out of the park in the very beginning. So, number 1 is like you're not the same person. You're learning a new set of skills. And I actually believe that moms who run businesses end up becoming better leaders, better CEOs, better strategists, all the things, because I have to get very specific and it's very, very priority heavy in that early stage. So I absolutely believe that you can be better. The second is that just because your business might not be a priority in this season does not mean that it never will be again. So truthfully, I'm coming to you guys in the middle of the second quarter of 2025, recording this episode. And right now, we're in a very business focused season in my life. I am still with my kids the majority of the time. However, they all know, like my husband knows, my kids know. I tell them all the time, mommy helps mommies be with their babies more. And that is like something that we all rally behind. It's something that we know is this season. So, this season of life is business heavy. And Steve knows that and he understands that. And I think that the thing that we need to just be okay with is that like it all can't be a priority in the season. Like as soon as June hits, it's summer and like the priority is the kids. We've got like beach week and then we're going to go camping and then we're probably going to do another camping stint and then we have like a family concert that we're going to go to. So like all these things are happening in family life and it's okay that family starts to take the front seat during certain seasons and like knowing that is part of, I guess, the special sauce, if you will, is knowing what season exactly you are in as a business owner. So, number 1, not the same person you were. If it's your first kid, if it's your second, third, fifth, whatever that looks like, I believe that every new baby and every addition to your family brings a new dynamic, a new set of skills, new learnings, new you. Like I really do believe that. The differences between my having my first son and having my second son, wildly different, way different kiddos, new learning, all the stuff, right? I really did become better from having both of them. And I believe that maternity leave is a season where you might be focused on your family and not necessarily on your business, but that does not mean that you are a poor business owner. There are strategic times, I talk about it quite a bit in my book, The Sabbatical Method. There are strategic times in the business where it makes a lot of sense for the business owner to be out. And some of the biggest businesses that I've advised, some of the most efficient operating models have models and systems built in that operate completely independently of the founder. The founder comes in, they add vision, they add clarity, and they add direction to a lot of the things that the team is implementing and the way that the business is moving. And they're not necessarily totally critical to any one system inside of the business. It doesn't mean that there are seasons, like if somebody leaves or if the business is breaking into a new market, that the founder doesn't need to jump in and put their, implementation hat on from time to time, which totally happens. But I think optimizing for you being removed from the business for an amount of time is really, really helpful. So I hope this is great. If you don't have my book, The Sabbatical Method, it's on Amazon. I'll drop the link below. It's super good. It's worth a read, especially as you're preparing for maternity leave, as you're preparing for strategic time off from the business. So, I personally believe that setting up your business to take time away is helpful for tons and tons of different reasons, the ones I just listed. But also, like, you're going to have kids at home. It's like after you take your maternity leaves, like, it's not over. You're not going to be in a position where you're never going to need to take time off from the business again. You're going to be in a position where you might want to take June off. Like, I take 2 months off, like, totally every single year. It's June and December, like, over the holidays. And then I also take about 4 weeks vacation, like peppered in throughout the year. And that's actually 90 days a year off of the business. And I don't work like crazy schedule during the week either. I'm just so hyper focused on what is important during the season and what season particularly that I'm in. And so it's, I think, helpful to kind of just wrap your brain around some of those things and embrace the transformation of becoming a mom. Embrace the transformation of having motherhood and business on the resume, because I think it does strengthen your ability as a leader. A lot of our teammates, I've found easier to manage, not necessarily in the sense that like they've gotten better, their personalities. It's just I've held more space, I've held more capacity for more personalities. So the transformation of becoming a mom and being a business owner is one, honestly, that is kind of second to none, like in my opinion. So enjoy it. Enjoy the ride. I know that it's going to be kind of bumpy from time to time, but imagine you've just like hopped onto a tiny little puddle jumper plane to get to this like beautiful paradise. And though like the road might be a little bit bumpy, like you look out the window from time to time and you're like, oh crap, look at that beautiful island and this clear blue water and all of the fun and exciting things that are ahead. I really do believe that motherhood is often like that. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.